constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to the base. Just as the score of the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is. Goodbye. Big World Series for Reggie.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Back and throws. There's a long drive. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick, I can brush them with my faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings. Long drive. Left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie. Here's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right.
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. Gets it back. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the program. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us on another very nice but very cold day here in the upstate of South Carolina. Hope that your morning's off to a good start. If not, you know our goal here is twofold. We try to, if it's not going well, we'll try to give you a little bit of a pickup. If it is going well, we'll try not to mess it up. Not always the easiest thing to do. That is Tom Van Hoy, our high-tech graphic people have it nailed.
Yes, that's your mission statement, and I like that.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
It is old school week here on the program.
With old
in parentheses.
Operative word here.
Well, Cobb Oxford was here on Monday.
Wow. Well, holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel honored to be. He said right here too.
Yeah, he did. Okay. Maybe not as close, but he said he said there.
Like you said, if I move over, I look like a floating head.
That's right. The black backdrop and the black sweater. That's color coordination is very good, and it's mysticism and magician time here on the Dan Scott Show. But yeah, Cobb was in here on Monday, Tuesday. We weren't here for various and sundry reasons. Yesterday went hard on a old school fundraising effort, which we're going to hit again today. Tom Van Hoy was also a big part of the old radio show, and we continue to work together on Furman basketball and the occasional baseball broadcast and whatever else we can do. And I always enjoy having him here on the program, and just basically an excuse for old home week here.
Well, there you go. Nothing wrong with that.
So how's everything in
Good.
the land of Van Hoy?
Busy. Like you remember 20-some years ago with your young ones. I got a couple of young ones, so I'm in and out of dance and gymnastics and PTA. What it does, it gives you tremendous focus,
Yes, it does.
I mean,
as if life isn't challenging enough, Tom decided to wait until his late 50s to have children.
There you go. Now, there's a bunch of people that just dropped over.
Yes. Not grandchildren.
Yeah. No.
But children.
So, yeah.
So
that's why I'm laughing, see.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, really?
You've just gone numb all over.
Everybody going, wow, my life's not too bad.
So, he is
Keeps you busy.
For a guy, how old are you now?
Older than Cobb.
Older than Cobb, yeah. Yeah, and Cobb just turned 59, so we'll say older than Cobb. For a guy who's older than Cobb, he's in probably as good a shape as anybody I know. A lot of guys who are probably 20 years younger, including me. I'm not 20 years younger, but he's in a lot better shape than I am. And you have to be.
Well,
you're playing defense now every day.
You want to know, here's the key is, and if you want to get in shape, I've got just, it's very, very simple. All you got to do is our next door neighbors are two boys. They're fifth and second, and girls are fourth and first. Mm-hmm. So it fits pretty well. They've got the best trampoline family trampoline I've ever seen in my life. It's not one of these that you look like you're going to be shot out of a rocket going straight up. And I mean, it's like major league. So 3 hours a day of jumping on that trampoline. Now you can't touch your toes when you get through, but I'm telling you, that's the thing that'll keep you in shape. That and the other thing that keeps you going is plenty of term life insurance, you know. So, but you know, you gotta plan for that too. So
yeah, no kidding.
But no, great perspective. Best thing that ever happened in my life.
Yeah, they are. They're a challenge, but they're a fun challenge. Of course, you know, the good news, by the time they get to dating and married age, you'll probably be in the old folks' home.
Oh, yeah,
so
I'm long gone. I won't have to worry about it.
Won't have to
see,
worry.
You guys, see, look at that. You guys had to go through that, and, you know, like, is this the one?
Yeah,
and,
as I sit here and think about this now, maybe Tom's a smart one after all.
We'll find out. That's the old TBD, to be determined, you know. No, it's very cool. It's worked out, and it's a neat deal.
The player to be named later. Anyway, on the show today, we're going to go through some Furman news and notes. Tom and I are both baseball guys. The baseball winter meetings are wrapping up today, and of course they're not the same as they used to be. You know, these days with agents and everything involved, it's more of a conversation starter, and any deals that get done usually happen afterwards. But we can remember the time when you knew when the winter meetings rolled around, there were going to be some trades made, and you just were anticipating, you know, your team's general manager is going to the winter meetings. Who's he going to come back with? Or maybe dreading who's he going to leave down there, you know, give to somebody else.
Yeah, and it's so money-driven now in this day and age. You know, I mean, and you didn't get a lot of information. That was the other thing. Nowadays, you get whatever you want. I mean, I can't imagine if I'd have grown up with the Major League Baseball Network, I probably would have still been sitting there like this, you know. But you got bits and
wouldn't
pieces.
have had any kids because you wouldn't have had a wife.
yeah. I'd be still in my parents' basement. Probably spent too many years there. But that's another story. Anyway, you didn't get a lot of information back in the day, and now it's really interesting too, because you know you could talk about the whole, you know, Scott Boras and the whole thing. Now that the Miami Marlins are a pawn shop, you know, and things like that, but money is such a big deal nowadays that sometimes that forces your hand to a certain extent. I mean, you can go look at the Kansas City Royals. They spent 29 years away from getting into the playoffs. They built for it. They got there. They lost in the 7th game to San Francisco. They won the World Championship, you know, and a couple of years later, they're having to, you know, break it all down and probably start all over again. And you know, if you own a franchise, and again, obviously, it's going to accrue, and when you eventually sell it, it's going to be worth a while. But you're sitting there with, let's just take the Royals at $150 million, which was for them small market. They want to cut it back. They've got $115 million on the books right now, and they want to cut that down. How are you going to do that and stay competitive and think of your fan base? But on the other hand, if you're running a business, you got to look at it in that term as well. It's a tough deal, and particularly with social media and everything that goes on today, where back in the day you might not hear too much about it, but fans can make a difference, as we have seen from a head coaching standpoint, Tennessee, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So interesting time in that regard.
You know, I floated the idea past Cobb a couple of weeks ago, and I think I may have mentioned it to you, and if I didn't, I am now, about starting a podcast with he and I and you and, you know, maybe a handful of other people kind of rotating in and out of what I would call our ilk, and calling it Grumpy Old Broadcasters.
Okay, yeah.
And we started. Cobb and I started.
Cobb
and I started putting together this list. Every time we would talk about something on Monday, he'd say, "Add that to the list." You know, things like, we want things the way that we want. You know, we're grumpy old men, right? Grumpy old broadcasters. This is the way things should be, and get off our lawn. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like no college football on Friday nights.
Yes, I agree with that.
You know,
or Tuesday.
High school. Well, you know, we said if the MAC wants to play on Tuesday, the MAC can play on Tuesday. But, you know, Friday night is high school football night.
High school football night.
No college football on Friday nights.
Gotcha.
No NFL on Thursdays except for Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, I would agree with that.
The Army-Navy game is what real amateurism should be, and we need a lot more of that.
I like that, yeah. It comes down to a last-second 48-yard field goal.
Yeah. The FCS title game should be played before Christmas.
Yes.
And not on January the 6th out in Frisco, Texas.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing a couple of years ago where, I mean, the Division II guys got it right. They played it, you're over by December 15th. Now, you understand the FBS and all the bowl games and all that kind of stuff, but, yeah, the FCS a couple of years ago, and I knew Willie Fritz at that time was the head coach of Sam Houston State. He's now at Tulane. And it was the same deal. You play, and then you're off for, 3 weeks or something like that before you play the championship game? Absolutely. I think in that regard, you can understand kind of the FBS and the way they do that, but go ahead and play it on out week after week after week.
There's too much money involved, and money makes too many decisions that should be made with other factors.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, I know. But, there are too many bowl games.
Yes.
If you're going to play in the 4-team playoff that we have right now, you have to win a conference title.
Yes. You got to go to,
or at least play in the conference championship game.
I mean, it needs to be 8 just because you got 5 power conference teams, and then you have 3 at large. And if something happens in one of those championship games, so be it. That's how it goes. The Big 12 for years, they had at one point had playoff a championship game, and there were 3 or 4 times when the loser just, was the team that would have gotten into the playoffs, that type of situation. So, and then they had to add it because somebody told them they needed that 13th data point. Well, if you happen to lose that game, then you're going to be out as well. So I think, I think you should have started at 8. And I'm just going back because I'm an old D2 guy, and I got to broadcast lots of playoff games, 5 national championships, to see it build week to week to week.
Mm-hmm.
And, you hear that the wear and tear on the body, and you understand that. And do you want to add one more game? Well, those guys at FCS, those guys in Division II right now are playing more games. Are the guys at the FBS level bigger, stronger, faster, and are the other guys less apt to get hurt? I mean, I'm not sure about that argument when it comes to it.
Is their health more important than the guys at the FCS level? I think that's the question. Do people complain about the number of games being played, and if you're going to do an expanded playoff, and that's one of the arguments that was thrown up for any kind of playoff to begin with, and now people who don't want it to go from 4 to 8 are kind of using that same thing, and as we all have seen, those arguments all wither and die. But the idea that you don't want to do it because the wear and tear on the bodies, well, just as you said, the FCS guys, by the time it's over, the 2 teams that play for the title are going to play 15 games.
Yeah. Yes.
At least, So go figure. Is their health any less important than the guys at the FBS level?
Well, and then the momentum builds from week to week. I never once ran into a fan or players or coaches or anybody that that didn't like it, that complained about having to play. And it's the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You get to the end, and one team remains standing, and I mean, you're not playing in the Rose Bowl,
right?
You're not playing in Arizona. You're probably playing in lots of places, northern climes and places like that. But yeah, we'll see if it does or doesn't happen. You understand the FBS with the entrenchment of the bowls and all that, but still, you win 5 games. I don't think you probably should be in a bowl game.
Yeah. That's another thing that we need to add to the list. Have to win X number of games. So yeah, grumpy old broadcasters. Kind of keep that in mind.
Okay.
We're thinking about making that a podcast.
Well, at least we qualify for it.
Yes, we
do.
do.
I mean, whether or not the content's any good is to be determined.
Hey, listen. Good content has never stopped me before. And it ain't
still going strong.
And it ain't going to start now. The profile and the audience share I have is much smaller. Maybe I should be figuring 2 and 2 equals 4. If I had better content, maybe I'd have a wider audience.
Well, there you go.
But never let the facts get in the way of a good story, I always say. When we come back, we're going to spend a little bit of time again reintroducing you to the Aiken Family Fundraiser. Going to talk about what's going on at Furman. We're going to talk about more Major League Baseball stuff. Mike Ayers retired yesterday after 30 years as the Wofford head coach. Just an incredible career coming to an end there. So we got a lot to get to today over the course of the hour. The show, as always, is presented by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company, located in Cherrydale Plaza in Greenville, just down the road from campus here. Was there for breakfast again this morning. I had lunch there yesterday. They were absolutely packed, and you understand why, because people are looking for, on cold days, looking for something to kind of warm them up a little bit. Well, they've got hot soup, hot chili, hot sandwiches and paninis, a bevy of hot drinks. They've got it all, and a great wide menu, and the people there are fantastic. So thank them for what they do as far as sponsoring the program, and you'll hear more about them in this commercial set. We'll come back and visit with you more on the Dan Scott program right after this.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today, and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. Dan Scott Show continues here on this Thursday, right?
There you go.
It is.
It's hard to keep
Thursday.
track of what day. That's why it's written up there on the TH.
Well, that was another one of the staples of the old radio show. Sometimes I would forget the day, or sometimes I would forget what hour we were in.
That happens, even to the best of us, and as you say.
Son, you ain't the best of us.
The best of us.
Hey, I spent a good deal of time on this yesterday, and it's something we're going to keep bringing to your attention over the course of the next few weeks. But my buddy Joel Aiken is one of the best people you're ever going to meet. He has been in a lifetime battle with cerebral palsy. You see his picture there. He's wheelchair bound, and he's not let that stop him. He's a preacher. He does so many things to help so many people, and has over the course of his life, despite the difficulties he has physically. You also see there his wife Jillian and their son Elijah. Well, Jillian has been the only one in the family who can work because of Joel's physical condition, and now she has been struck down with a fairly serious heart condition and is unable to work, and it has caused them some major financial hardship. And guys, this is a guy who has helped so many people and has done it without anybody knowing it, whether it's financially or whether it is from a ministerial standpoint, whatever the case may be. This is a guy whose whole life has been about giving and giving and giving. And now he's in a situation where he needs us to give back to him. I have posted and pinned on the Facebook Live timeline the link. So if you're tuned into the program, you can just click it there. Here is the update. Actually, as of this morning, that number should be $955 out of the modest $4,200 goal that they have. And this is the extended link. If you want to write it down, you can see it. But I will post it and tweet it out again here on all of my social media in just a moment. But I'm asking you to go make a donation. There's no such thing as a donation that's too small. $5, $10, whatever you can do. Would we love $100? Would we love $1,000? Absolutely. I can promise you. Promise you we would love that. But just asking you in the spirit of the season, in the spirit of trying to show that there is still some good in what is really a messed up world. Make a donation and help the Aiken family as they've got a ton of medical bills. They've got day-to-day living expenses. It's Christmas, so you've got that going on as well. Would really appreciate you making a donation. We'll revisit that a little bit later on in the show, and as I say, continue to revisit it over the course of the next couple of weeks. Tom, you were a part of a lot of the fundraising stuff that we did on the old radio show, and as I was telling people yesterday, just kind of I hate to say amazed, but really I was every year how no matter what we brought to the table, the radio listeners jumped on. And I know we've got a much, much smaller group here, but I'm hoping that something will stir inside them as well, and we could have some similar results on a much smaller scale.
Yeah, some of the best stuff that I was going to say, lump me in there, but you got a lot of that started in a previous radio lifetime, and I was happened to be part of it as well. And, we have fun here. That's what we're supposed to have fun, try to give some information and entertain a little bit, hopefully, if we can. But, there's some serious things going out there, and I always thought that if you can give back and if you can be a part of it and if you can help somebody else, then use your format and the avenue that you have to do that. So, we'd certainly have to feel, you look at your life and if you're having things aren't going badly for you, sometimes bad things happen to good people. If you can help others, please do it.
Yeah. So I am just now hitting the send button. So that link, once again, is going out to Facebook, to Twitter, and to my LinkedIn pages. And on the Facebook Live comments section, for those of you who are watching, it is pinned. So when you pop on, the link is right there. All you have to do is click it. It'll take you to the You Caring page. And again, I think it's important to note that while there's a place there, if you wanted to leave what they call a tip for You Caring itself to cover their expenses, anything you give towards the fundraiser for the Aiken family, 100% of that goes to them. So I think that's important to note as you go out and make a donation. And I said this yesterday. This time of year especially, but all year long, everybody's trying to get in your pocketbooks. And goodness knows there are a lot of worthy causes out there. No question about that. Just asking you to prayerfully consider setting aside a few bucks and do what you can to help this family because they're in a situation where they really, really need it. We'll talk about it a little bit more later on, but again, the link is there for you to access.
Dan, you talk about grumpy old broadcasters and
yes.
how it has changed. You just ran through there in terms of what you did, social media. You did this. You said pin that. I mean, I'm pinned the tail on the donkey.
That's
I
right.
mean, like what? I pinned it here. I'd be sitting. I walked in. I thought, there probably wasn't this much equipment in Houston when John Glenn went up, right? I don't know how you keep all this stuff.
Well, what's interesting is there was probably 400 times the equipment there was in Houston and in the Rocket when John Glenn went up.
That's true.
And all of the technology it took to get that rocket up and back is now probably encapsulated in one laptop.
Right. I mean, it's. I mean, you think about and
Or
I'm
less.
I'm not saying that they're less courageous now, but you think about that. They're firing you up there. You've been down to Cape Canaveral or, down there and took a look at the Mercury and all that going, really?
Mhm.
You got in there and they fired a tin can off.
That's right.
That's awesome, man.
Lit a candle with a capsule on top of it.
Oh, man.
Hey, you remember the Godfather down in Abbeville? Our friend Benji Greason?
Oh, yeah.
He says he's got a $20 donation for a shout-out for his Abbeville Panthers,
Great.
back-to-back AA state champs. So there's your shout-out. Go forth and donate.
What happened to that 500 feet of telephone cord we had at Abbeville? Is it still around?
No, it was 1,000 feet, and it's in my garage somewhere.
Okay, go ahead and take it home, guys. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
What am I going to do with 1,000 feet of phone cord? That was the next
that just
question.
shows you how fantastic people are when you go in and broadcast things like that.
And it shows you also, because, time frame wise, Tom, we're talking, 2008 maybe?
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah.
But technologically, it was a different lifetime ago. I'll tell you this quick story, and then we'll get into some stuff. Some of you know it already. And on my phone, I have the picture, but I don't have time to do all the transferring I have to do to get it up on the screen. But when we were doing high school football together at the Clemson radio station, we did a game of the week where we'd travel from place to place, and we always wanted to go to Abbeville, and Pendleton and Abbeville were big rivals in the same conference at that time, and so we finally got a break in the schedule that allowed us to go there. And, we were using a technology at the time which was pretty much top of the line, something called the Matrix by a company called Comrex, which makes what we use now.
Yeah.
It's just, generationally how things have changed. But this was a piece of equipment that if you using a regular phone line dialed into the other piece of equipment back in the studio, it digitalized the sound and it gave you studio quality sound. In other words, you didn't sound like you were on a telephone. You sounded like you were in studio. So this is what we had to work with. So we always had to make sure we had a phone line available everywhere we went. And if we didn't have one already there, then we'd have to have one installed. So I called down to Abbeville in the early portion of the week and asked the athletic director, who happened to be also an assistant football coach for the Panthers, said, do you guys have a phone line available for us? And he's like, yeah. He said, there are 2 jacks in here. You're fine. Now, here's the other thing. TV is coming, so you guys will have to be outside. Well, that's fine. We had no problem with that, we thought. As long as we can get power and get the phone line run out, we'll be fine. So he says, yeah, you're cool, no problem. So we get to Abbeville, and thank the good Lord, I have this, especially during football, I have this fast rule that I very rarely veer from, that I arrive on site about 3 hours before airtime, because, Tom, you just never know.
You never know. Nobody ever wanted to go with us, or me, or you, or you. So anyway,
thankfully, Tom's of the same mindset as I am. So the first thing you have to understand is we're going to be outside, and it is raining, and it's not raining a little bit. I mean, it is a steady rain that is coming and ends up lasting pretty much all night long. We get there, survey the situation, and find out that we're going to be on a scissors lift outside the press box. So, they're going to put us in this thing, and I guess we could have had it jacked up. We decided not to. Well, we climbed up into this scissors lift, start surveying the situation, and realize, okay, we are going to get soaked. And understanding the station management was far more concerned about the safety of the equipment than they were about the safety of Tom and I. So we go to the local hardware store just off the square there in downtown Abbeville. We buy a 20-foot section of pipe, right, and had it cut into 4 or 5 foot sections.
Now, let me tell you, this is like the original reality TV show.
Yes, this was Redneck MacGyver. Okay, we bought this 20-foot piece of metal pipe, had it cut into 4 or 5 foot sections.
Yeah.
We bought a
what do we do with it?
We bought a 10-foot tarp, and here's the kicker.
Did we pay for it? Did we charge?
No, we paid for it.
Yeah. Okay.
in more ways than one. And here's the kicker: a roll of duct tape.
Yes.
and go back to the scissors lift and proceed to redneck MacGyver a tent on top of that scissors lift to keep the equipment completely dry, and Tom and I hopefully reasonably dry. One of the most absurd things about this whole thing, Tom, you always pointed out, as you and I are doing this thing, the crowd began to gather
before a live studio audience. And these are probably gentlemen and ladies that knew a lot more about doing stuff like that than I know me. I don't know anything, my wife can do all of that stuff. But yeah, and the guy comes up and says, "You want some help with that?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, first of all, you don't want to do it flat because it's going to do water, son. I go, "Oh yeah. I guess we should make it into like a teepee or something."
Right.
Anyway, so then we had to go find the soccer.
You had to go find a soccer flag from underneath the stadium stands and
oh my goodness,
and rig it up. But we got it done. So we got that part of it done. And so we run the power cord, run the telephone line into the press box at Abbeville, hook up to the station. Everything's good. Get ready to go on the air, and our phone connection dies. Not unusual. It happened from time to time. So we reconnected. About 2 minutes later, the phone connection died. So we reconnected. About 30 seconds later, the phone connection died. So now we realize we got an issue. Turns out that, they had 2 phone jacks in the press box at Abbeville. But like the phone jacks in your home, they were all connected to one line.
Same number.
So every time we connected, we knocked the Abbeville station off the air. And they would reconnect, which then would knock us off the air and vice versa. Well, it's their home press box. Obviously, it's their phone line. We're in a mess. So it just turns out that one of the guys who works in the press box at Abbeville worked for the telephone company. He called one of his buddies. His buddy drove his telephone truck out. They got a box with 1,000 feet of phone cord in it, went into Abbeville High School, went all the way back to, I guess, the main.
Yeah, we're clear back.
Yeah, you went in with them, right?
It wasn't like we just went in the back door.
Yeah.
We had to go around hallways, and it got to the point where you were trying to plug into, like whoever teaches social studies, if they got a phone in there. So I'd crawl underneath there and see if we could find one that was hot, one that would work. I think eventually we did find the junction box or whatever you call it there, and it's a literal Christmas miracle that we ran all of that across a parking lot
through the front gate. You can remember winding it through the school hallways, out the front door of the
Yeah.
across the parking lot, through the front gate where the people are giving their tickets and walking
buying
over.
tickets. Excuse us.
Mm-hmm.
So it was. The fact that we even got it on was a miracle, and the fact that it stayed on was the second one.
Yeah,
that happened.
and we got on about midway through the first quarter, did not have a single issue after that. And then the guy at the phone company afterwards, they said, what do you want to do with all this phone cord? And he said, you can have it. So we just rolled it back up, and I took 1,000 feet of phone cord in a box home with me.
Put it in your garage, and the fact was then you had to listen to the crowd because the scissors lift was right next to the press box, and went up, like we said, halfway, and then I'm cut off at the 30-yard line. So I think you could you see it? I think you might.
Yeah, we had the position where me as the play-by-play guy, I kind of sat on the outside of it so I could see all the way, but Tom could only see from like this 30-yard line heading in the other. He only had a 70-yard field.
So I listened to the crowd. With. Touchdown!
Oh, and then the other thing, if you remember, is we were right underneath the public address speaker.
Oh yeah.
So
it was definitely an experience.
So. And then the great line that Tom always breaks out anytime something like that happens, and it seems like there were so many, is Bob Costas never had to do anything like this.
Yeah. Well, he's smart enough; he wouldn't do it.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like I did a baseball game one time, and I was in one of those. You remember those old concession stand type?
Mm-hmm.
They were, and it was down. It's down the third base line, elevated, and it's got a little overhang, and it's still got the CO2 empty ones in the back.
Right.
And it started to rain, and people started gravitating there, and they wanted to get under there so that they didn't get wet. And then a couple guys would come up and they just go, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you got Mountain Dew, ball 2. No, high and outside, there's a driveway back. It could be, no, I don't have Mountain Dew today. How you get, it happens to all of us.
Right.
So, it was interesting. So,
and then of course, there's a story of broadcasting an Atlantic Coast Conference baseball doubleheader from the front seat of a Ford Explorer.
Yes.
Or Ford Expedition. Excuse me.
At Boston College.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And on and on and on.
So anyway,
we've threatened for years to write a book about just such experiences, and I determined after the first trips coming to Furman, the first baseball weekend that I spent in Statesboro at Georgia Southern, I determined, Tom, that if we ever do write a book, that at least the subtitle of the book is going to be, I spent a month in Statesboro one weekend.
That can happen occasionally, depending. You could, as they say, throw a dart and have it land someplace and probably done a game there. I left a guy once, and this is my impetuous days. Like, I got to go. And so he wasn't there, and I left him, and the general manager had to bring him, and it was one of those deals where you had to put a phone line. The phone line was outside the back of a stadium that was built like an erector set, so that I had to climb down the back of the stadium, but I couldn't open the box that you needed to open, so I had some coins, and I was instead of having like a knife, the old Boy Scout knife or whatever, I'm got a dime, and I kept dropping money. And before long, I looked down and there's a bunch of kids down there because hey, there's some idiot up there that's dropping money down here, and I finally got it open, and I plugged it in. And you remember those old TV or phone line deals that actually rolled up and you carried it, you could roll it out.
Yeah.
Well, I had it between my teeth because I was climbing up the back of the stadium, and I'm on the back row, and there's people sitting there, and I'm going, excuse me. And they go, what the heck? So anyway, there's a million stories, as they say. And the bottom line was we got it on. The general manager brought that guy. There were issues that were, there are always issues, But you know what? They all get rectified. One way or the other. And it worked out fine, and team won, and everybody was happy.
The bottom line is
you got the commercials on.
Bottom line is you get the broadcast on and play the commercials.
And people don't care. I learned that that's what one guy told me. They don't care. I said, well, wait. They don't care. They want to hear the game.
Right.
So we get to rehash a few things here, let you know what we really do behind the scenes.
I'll tell this one real quickly, and then we'll get out of here. The infamous North Carolina State women's basketball game that I did for when I was doing Clemson women's basketball. The previous time I'd gone up there, they had played in the new facility.
Okay. The big one, PNC
big one,
or whatever.
Yeah. So the team went up the day before. I said I'll just meet the team at the hotel, and go over with them, and we'll be cool. And I got there, and the team had already left. So I said, well, okay, I know where I'm going. So I go to the arena, and I get to the arena. PNC Arena, the big one where the men play and where the hockey team plays, the Carolina Hurricanes. And there seems to be an exceedingly large crowd gathering at the arena, and I'm thinking, man, North Carolina State women's basketball is really must be doing well, because I mean they had lanes closed off and directing you in here, and police officers, and there were tons of cars going in. And I didn't realize they were this good of a draw. So I rolled down my window when I got to one of the places where a parking guy was, and I said, "Yeah, I'm with Clemson Radio. Where do I park for the basketball game?" And his response was, "Huh?" I said, "I'm with Clemson Radio. Where do I park for the basketball game?" He said, "There's no basketball game here tonight. The circus is in town."
Okay. Wow.
And I'm like,
"Yep, it is."
Yeah, more ways than one. So Clemson and North Carolina State aren't playing here? No, North Carolina State women, they moved their games back to Reynolds Coliseum on campus. Okay, would have been nice to know. So then I work my way back to campus. I get on campus. Meanwhile, it's a 7 o'clock tip. We go on the air about 10 minutes till with a little 15 minutes till with a little pregame interview, and that's it. And so I'm working my way back to campus. Time's beginning to tick away, but it doesn't take long to get everything set up. I'm not concerned. Kenitra Green's already there. She did the games with me. She'll get all the information. She knows the routine. So I get over onto campus and can't find Reynolds. I start asking students who go to North Carolina State. Can't find Reynolds. They don't know where the stupid place is.
Okay, wow.
Finally, one of their public service people, like a little parking control people or whatever, took pity on me and led me to Reynolds Coliseum. And so I parked. I got in. It turns out I had to run about 30 feet of phone cord from where the connection was to where our broadcast location was. I got it hooked up, dialed to the station. The station connected in time for me to hear. And now let's go to the arena. Here's Dan Scott. Good evening, everybody, from Reynolds Coliseum here on the campus of North Carolina State University.
Yeah.
The listeners had no idea.
No, I did.
I mean, literally got connected like 3 seconds before it was time to go on the air.
Yep.
And all the time, Kenitra's is sitting there looking at me like, you idiot.
Yeah.
Welcome to my wife's world. All right, we are actually going to talk some Furman stuff when we come back. Got a basketball game tonight. New offensive coordinator here in George Quarles. We'll talk about that and much more as we continue on this edition of the Dan Scott Show. We're live. Before we go out, though, I want to tell you about Ridge Media, just hopping on board with us here as an advertiser. They are a kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, for all of your digital media needs. You see their logo there. Kenny and the gang there do such a phenomenal job. And now I've got to naturally have to find my my information here that I had, and now I can't find again. But anyway, if you're looking for digital media, digital ads, you're looking for website development, search engine optimization, they can do it for you. They are also have locations not only here in Greenville, but also down in Charleston. It is Ridge Media, and I think I have found it right here is the information. Clients range from startups to Fortune 500 companies. Call today for a free consultation, 864-354-6175. 354-6175. Logo print, website design, as well as I said, search engine optimization and marketing. That's Ridge Media. Tell Kenny you heard about him here on the program. Thank them for hopping on board with us. We'll be back and get into some Furman stuff on the other side as the Dan Scott Show continues in just a moment.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Traveler's Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimiented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget their gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO cell phone repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. All right, welcome back to the show. Dan Scott, Tom Van Hoy, good to have you with us. If you're going to call yourself the anything of any city, you better be able to back it up. I'm happy to report that Hall's Chop House can do just that. They are the Greenville Steakhouse. And it starts with the steaks. They have only Allen Brothers Prime Steaks out of Chicago, top quality meat, and the rest of the menu just falls into place from there. You still have time to book one of their spacious rooms for your Christmas party, corporate gathering, whatever it is you have. They're open 7 nights a week for dinner. They're open on Sundays for brunch. They are a staple now here in downtown Greenville. They're also, of course, the original location in Charleston. Hall's Chop House, please tell them you heard about them here on the show. The Greenville Steakhouse. Tell Billy and everyone, thank you for jumping on board and supporting us here on the Dan Scott Show. All right, coming up tonight, it's the final game of a 5-game homestand for Bob Ritchie's Furman Paladins. They are trying to go 4-1 on the homestand, win their 4th consecutive game, and what would be 6 out of their last 7 against NAIA Montreat. And Bob is quick to point out this is not your typical non-Division I school. This is a 12-1 Montreat team that beat Bob Jones by 30. Of course, Furman beat Bob Jones 101-48 to open the season. So, at least that one common opponent, very similar results. Now, I'm not trying to blow smoke up anybody's skirt. All right, we're talking about a major difference in the level of overall competition and talent here. But having said that, this is a pretty good team that's coming in. And more importantly, if you're in the area and you don't have anything to do, the students are all gone, exams are over, we need everybody we can get at Timmons Arena tonight. And on the ESPN3 broadcast, I'll be debuting a holiday tie.
Okay, I was going to say it's throwback night, right?
Well,
how are you going to? I was going to ask you how you were going to go.
I'm going to go exactly how I always go because I'm in constant throwback mode.
Okay.
But Caleb did give me a little avenue to take. He put out a little notice that if you don't have anything throwback, wear something holiday oriented, Christmas oriented, because it's our last broadcast of the year. Before the new year, so it'll be kind of our Christmas wishes to everybody, and so I had to borrow it, but I have a festive holiday tie.
Okay,
that's more, he said, than just a tie.
Okay, like it's multifunctional or something. I mean, like wear a hat.
Let's just
you have to tune in.
Let's just say, you want to tune in.
That's the tease, right?
But Rudolph's nose really is red.
Okay.
Let's just.
What? How about somebody like Hunter Reed or Jordan Caskey? Those guys, what are they doing? Are they?
I don't know. See, and here's the thing. The quote unquote throwback is kind of 90s oriented, and Caleb's got a great ESPN package put together to make it look like a 90s era ESPN broadcast.
Well, like the fonts and all that.
Yeah,
like
the
gigantic graphics.
Exactly. But
right.
when I'm thinking throwback, I'm thinking we could have gone back to the 70s. We could have gone back.
John Travolta and all that.
And ESPN came into being in 1979.
Right.
But anyway, on top of all that, there is actually a game tonight. So
well, the thing about Montreat, and this would be like a Sports Jeopardy. Is this still on Sports Jeopardy? You ever watch that?
I did, and no, it's not.
Okay. There's probably a pretty good reason for that.
Speaking of throwbacks.
But if that would be one of the categories to name the team in the Appalachian Athletic Conference, it'd be that's they're NAIA Division II. They're 12-1, shoot a lot of threes, but they're ranked 17th in the NAIA Division II poll that came out. Union, Kentucky is number 15 in that poll as well. So, I did a couple of – I did the Bob Jones game with you guys this year. I did a Bob Jones game with Upstate as well, and Upstate dominated and Furman dominated as well. But it's one of those deals where you want to come out and play well, get after it, finish it off strongly, because you got a couple of pretty tough ones coming up here non-conference-wise. But, I do think that, coming off when we were in Nashville, you were there for the first ball game before you had to come back and do football, played well against New Hampshire, played well against Northeastern. Occasionally gets away from you, the Winthrop game as well. But I thought that Tennessee Tech game after Winthrop was a big one against a team that was pretty good, that scored 101 points and won at New Mexico in the pit. And I think that was if you look back on some things, the UAB game last year after the lost Presbyterian, I think that's a big game for Coach Ritchie and his team, and got after it pretty good. And you think about the Winthrop game when Devin Sibley played only 9 minutes, didn't score in that one. Scored, I think, 3 in the game against Tennessee Tech, which showed you what the team was like. And Devin Sibley a great player, doesn't have to score 20 every night to do that. You'd love it if he could, but I thought that was a big ball game. Yeah,
it was a huge game, especially as you pointed out before we went on the air. They had Tennessee Tech had won at New Mexico down at the pit, came in averaging about 86 points a game, and hit a shot basically at the buzzer to get them to the 50-point mark. So to hold a team like that, 36 points below its scoring average, come back the next time out and dominate an Asheville team that had beaten Furman each of the last 2 seasons, jump out 14-2 and 32-12 in that game. It was really the first time this year that I can recall anyway that the shots were falling from the get-go. So at the beginning of the game, you had the defensive intensity, and you also had the shots falling at the same time, and that's to where you get out to 32-12.
Yeah, I thought you look at the Asheville game, because Winthrop and Asheville picked 1 and 2 in the preseason poll out of the Big South, and I think it was an Asheville team that had beaten Wofford by 20 at Asheville, I believe. And of course, we know Wofford played well and beat Georgia Tech at home and so forth. So it's one of those things. When a coach tells you, you need to get ready to play. I mean, it's kind of tough sometimes for kids to they look at that and go, well, maybe we should win this game. But I'll tell you, with the veteran team that Furman has, I don't think that's much of an issue. I think that they'll be ready to go.
7 o'clock tip tonight, about 7:03, I guess. And the radio pregame will start at 6:30. Jordan Caskey will join me for that, and then Bryant Lambert and I will have the call on ESPN3 and the simulcast of on Fox Sports 1440, our flagship station. And then Tom and I hit the road for the radio exclusive games away from Timmons Arena, going to Wilmington on Sunday, to Knoxville for a 9 p.m. tip Wednesday of next week, the last game before the break.
Thank you, SEC TV Network.
And then a 10-day break before December 30th. At least we get the drive to Lexington, Virginia out of the way early this year.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. And, VMI is one of those teams that they changed coaches a couple years ago and different philosophy. They're playing better. I think some of the teams at the bottom part that in preseason poll anyway. And I tell you, Greensboro is a team that's playing a lot better than I thought they were going to be this year. They beat Wilmington last night at home with a big second half, and our man Francis Alonso hit three-pointers to 16-4 run to kind of widen it out. Greensboro's playing very well right now. Wilmington's a team with C.B. McGrath taking over, or Kevin Keats, who went on to NC State. It's a Wilmington team that had been back-to-back NCAA tournaments and, played tough last year, lost 76-71 down in Orlando to Florida in the first round. They lost 4 starters, though. But it's a team that's struggling a little bit right now, but they're going to get back home. They're 2-0 at home, but they've lost 5 consecutive on the road. So it was a pretty good game in Greensboro last night. And UCG's playing better. East Tennessee, you kind of never know from a recruiting standpoint. You come in with some good players you bring into your program, And then Chattanooga probably playing a little bit better than I thought they were going to after all the things that went on down the stretch last year and change of coaches. So I think it'll be pretty competitive. Mercer's played a tough schedule. Sanford the same way. Sanford picked in the upper echelon. The record right now is not all that good. They play some pretty stiff competition as well. So looking forward to getting back into it. You got to finish it off, though, with Montreat. And then also Tennessee, Rick Martin's done a heck of a job there. I mean, it'll be a very difficult game to go into Knoxville and play there. But that's a nice opportunity. You've been to Butler, you've been to Duke, you've been to Knoxville to play Tennessee in big arenas, and you'll be well prepared, I think, for Southern Conference play.
So after tonight, you've got the Montreat game tonight, and Furman does not return home again, Tom, until the Citadel on January the 4th. Got back-to-back games Thursday, Saturday with the Citadel and Mercer on the 4th and the 6th. So it's going to be a while before we get back to Timmons Arena. So we'll invite you to follow us on the radio broadcast, obviously, and see what the Paladins can do on the road. You'd love to think that you take care of business tonight, go to Wilmington, get that win on the road on Sunday if all goes well, and then roll into Knoxville, Devin Sibley's hometown,
Carnes High School,
and take your chances against the Vols.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, again, you go back to the Butler game, it kind of got away a little bit there at the end of the first half. And then up at Duke, I mean, again, the not indicative, I don't think, of the way Furman played. They had some chances to hit some shots and, just didn't go in. It turned out to be a, pretty decisive margin there. But I do think with the experience he had with the guys that are there now that had to play when they were freshmen, I think they'll go in there and compete. Now, one more thought on that throwback. Is that in the playbook for Furman football? Do they have the throwback?
I'm sure they do
somewhere.
I'm sure.
So I don't know
do.
if somebody might dress up as a football player or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think people would get it, or you think that's just a stretch on my part?
Probably a stretch.
Yeah, that's like one of those deals. You ask one too many questions. In the interviews, like anyway.
What was your thought when you saw the story yesterday that Mike Ayers was stepping down after 30 years?
Well, I tell you, just a remarkable career to begin with, and sometimes you never know when it's going to come to an end. I've been around athletics all my life. I've seen guys that hang on, that just want to continue to coach until you can't anymore. Sometimes, and sometimes I've had coaches tell me too that sometimes you just know when it's time to do it. That's a long time, and what he's been able to accomplish there. And you look at the size of the school. Same thing with the Furman Paladins. They have 2,000 or 3,000 students, maybe, or less than that. And what he has been able to accomplish, and he did it with using a specific offensive style, which provided an opportunity for you to be pretty much competitive in about every game you played. I mean, threaten the likes of some of the bigger teams that they did play. You've got to be able to prepare for it. I think he's done a remarkable job of what he has done there at Wofford, and to be there for any length of time. I know you've done it a long time. I've done it a long time. I've known coaches, probably more so football coaches than basketball coaches, and that's the way the business is. It's a little bit like broadcasting too. You're here to get to here, to get to here, to continue to move up. And I know some coaches I know that their wives would be the greatest real estate salesmen there are because they've had to move. And once a coach takes a job and moves, he's on to the next job, recruiting and so forth. So for Coach Ayers to be there for that length of time, I think speaks volumes for him and also for Wofford as well, because I'm sure there were points in time with any coaches where, let's do something here. But just congratulations and a great run, and competitive. You get into the FCS and you win one, you might win another, and you know how it is. You run into a pretty good North Dakota State team last time.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting in taking some info from the press conference yesterday that he told his wife before the season and told two other people. And that's it. And they were sworn to secrecy. And amazingly, it didn't get out. But because he did not want a farewell tour.
Yes.
He knew this was going to be his last year. But he just the kind of guy that did not want a farewell tour. So that's a definite end of an era The expectations are, I think, that the offensive coordinator who's been with him, I think his entire time there, is probably going to get the nod as the head coach to kind of keep the system and the transition as smooth as possible, but kind of keep an eye on that and see what happens. But a marvelous 30-year career comes to an end, and I know that there are a lot of Furman fans. I was reading some of the message board stuff yesterday who are saying, sayonara, glad you're gone, because Wofford.
And that's a compliment.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So you've got that opening in the league. You have ETSU open, of course, with Carl Torbush retiring. Kind of wonder if Mike O'Kane, who was his offensive coordinator, would retire, or if he would want to move back to the head coaching spot again, or if they want to go a completely different direction up there. One place we know they won't be going is after George Quarles, who was officially named the offensive coordinator here at Furman earlier this week. I saw Clay Hendricks downstairs last week right after Drew Connick had left to go to Lenore-Rhine, and I said, I'm assuming that George just moves right up the ladder to that. And he said, well, yeah. He said the idea is that you have a system in place, so when one guy leaves, the system doesn't leave with him. And so it's a great opportunity for Drew. Very, very happy for him and his family, and to have the experience of a George Quarles to step into the offensive coordinator spot, I think is going to be good for this program.
Yeah, a remarkable year given you come in to change things around. You didn't recruit the young men that are the program, and I think kind of the tone was set, wasn't it, that first game of the year? Going for 2.
Yeah.
Against Wofford, and that's the philosophy we're going to have. 3 tough ones begin. You knew it was going to be like that, and then got on a roll. So I think the future is very bright for Furman football.
That's the plan. Boy, they've got the entire defensive roster basically coming back next season. I'm going to have some major pieces to replace offensively, but again, that's where you get into having a system, and we'll see what happens, but it's going to be fun. So our congratulations to Coach Quarles. Very happy for Drew Cronick, and to Mike Ayers. 30 years well-deserved. Hope that you and your wife get to spend some quality time together. She may not know what to do with you. You may be coaching high school football before too much longer, because she may not be that accustomed to having you around the house. It's the way it works sometimes.
Yep.
Anyway, anything else going on you want to hop on before we get out of here?
Just as a kind of a side note here and a small world note, Coach Quarles had that great run at Maryville, Tennessee. I've got a neighbor 2 doors down, and she had him for driver's ed.
Really? Nice.
Because I was talking to her one day, and I said, "You're from Maryville, Tennessee, right?" I said, "Do you know a gentleman by the name of Coach Quarles?" Oh yeah. He taught me driver's ed. So I mean, that's kind of how it works. I had driver's ed from the head football coach at my eyes, So anyway, it's kind of a small world when you think about that, and she's a good driver, Coach, by the way.
That's the most important thing. You did your job well.
Man.
He could coach and he could teach driving.
He can teach driver's ed. How many coaches on staffs out there at one point did teach driver's ed? A lot of them.
Probably all of them.
Guess, So
probably
anyway,
all of them.
We could go an hour on driver's ed, but anyway.
All right. Don't forget basketball tonight, Timmons Arena. Furman and Montreat, final game of this 5-game homestand before the Paladins head out on the road for the next 3, which will be extended over the time period through the end of this month, and then return home for the first time in 2018 on January the 4th. But so it's Montreat tonight, Sunday, 2 o'clock at Wilmington, and then next Wednesday, 9 p.m. at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. So got quite a stretch coming up here, and getting ready to put some miles on the old vehicle and wear out the old expense account again.
Yeah, you're the million-mile guy on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about a million miles flying, but you go to Nashville, come back, and made it to Elon the next day. It's, kind of the stuff that we do in this business.
And I'm not above admitting I was tired.
Yeah, no, I can understand why.
But it was.
But it's fun. A lot of people don't get to do it, and you love what you do, and that's what's cool.
And at the end of the day, I'm blessed. When the job gets frustrating, and goodness knows that there are days that it gets frustrating, I always have the ability to step back and remind myself, in the grand scheme of things, I'm getting paid to watch a ball game, and there are much worse ways to try to scrape together a living.
Yep.
So that'll do it for us. Thank you for your kind attention. Thanks to Tom. Hopefully we'll be able to drag him in here a little more often between babysitting gigs, and we'll be back with you tomorrow in some way, shape, or fashion. Until then, I'm Dan Scott, saying God bless you. So long, everybody.